But Pasadena Villa, for those of you who are not aware of us, our main campus is located in Orlando, Florida. We are a residential facility. We primarily work with mood and thought disorders, but we are a co-occurring facility, so individuals who are struggling with addiction, we're able to provide some support for them. We also have a residential facility in Tennessee, and we also have a transitional living and learning center, which is located in Orlando. And so some of the things that you may be asking, well, what do you all do over there at Pasadena Villa? One of the things that we are known for is our social integration model. And that is one thing that I am really passionate about and that made me most attracted to Pasadena Villa. I've been with the company for 6.5 years. And so what I think is really neat that we get to do is that we get to, one of the things that we say is it's real life, real time with our clients. So again, we primarily work with mood and thought disorders. And so a lot of times when we think of traditional therapy, we think of talk therapy. I'm going to sit and converse with my client for about an hour, and then I see the next client. And so the milieu in that environment is very different. It's kind of like how it is here. We have the dining facility out in the open. We don't have any offices. Our clinicians are out in the milieu with our clients all of the time. And so when we do sessions, we do have a little private office that the therapists will work and coordinate their times. But we get to basically be with our clients all of the time. So we have licensed mental health clinicians. We have nationally certified recreational therapists. We have nationally certified art therapists. We have nurses that are in the facility. We have a psychiatrist who is available to our clients 30 hours throughout the week, and so that is super beneficial because it's not just one meeting. If a client is working through medications, if a client's not feeling well, she has access or he has access to our psychiatrist throughout the entire week. And so this idea of the social integration model, as our residents are learning about their diagnosis, having psychoeducation, working out through their medications, and learning to just become stable, we get to then integrate them into the community. So if some of our clients are struggling with frustration or anger, I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that, and still trying to work through all those internalized feelings that they're experiencing, we can go out into the community with them. And so one of the best examples that I can think of is I have a client who really struggles with perfectionism and her need for control. And she'll even say, one of my skills is I'm a great manipulator. She'll say that. And she has a history of addiction, and she was able to get sober and then come to us and work through some of her other struggles that she had. And so we were doing rock climbing. We were processing coping skills to do with her vulnerability, and sometimes she'll get emotionally reactive when she's feeling sensitive and lash out towards a lot of other individuals. So we talked about it. She could teach a class on her coping skills. Where she struggled was the application. And so we went to do rock climbing, and she didn't know how to do it. She had never done it before. And so she began to be really rude and churlish to some of her peers and began to act out a little bit. And so she learned how to tie her belt and her ropes and started to belay other individuals and started off there. She then started off trying to climb, and she felt a little bit embarrassed. She couldn't quite do it. She screaming, yelling, I'm not going to do this, this is dumb, all this kind of stuff. We processed what that was like and different things that she could do. The next week she went up a little further. And the neatest thing was one of her peers said, can I help you? You know, we can do it together. We'll start off at the same time. I'm not that great. And to see her work through that is really special, week by week with a whole team and empowering her. And so some of you may think, rock climbing, how can that be therapeutic? Living life and matriculating that and being able to build those relationships is super important. And so we have found in the prognosis of our patients, learning the coping skills, being educated, but then being able to have support in the moment while you're working through things is super important. So that's one of the things that we value. And so we're able to provide the residential treatment care in Orlando at Pasadena Villa. We opened up in Tennessee as well. Some things to note about Tennessee that's special to Tennessee is that we do have the animal-assisted therapy there. We have a farm, and so that particular area for individuals maybe who need less stimulation, because in Orlando we're right in the city, so that particular environment might not be conducive for everybody. So if your client is needing a more tranquil environment, they can go to Tennessee, and we do have the animal-assisted therapy there. and equine therapy there, and so that can be super helpful. Some of our clients who have a history of more trauma tend to find Tennessee a little bit more attractive because of that setup over there. One thing that we do have in Orlando that we're really excited is one of our new clinicians is an equestrian herself, and she's working through that. She owns a horse, and so she's in that process, and we're trying to see how we can get that since she already has that stable. So we look forward for future updates in regards to that. And then I want to talk a little bit about the Transitional Living and Learning Center. That's where I get to work. Again, I've been with Pasadena for 6.5 years, and I manage that facility. And so what we get to do here is, once our clients have some stability, they've had psychoeducation, they've developed their coping skills, a lot of care, unfortunately, as some of you may already know, is crisis stabilization. And we need that extended care. We need that opportunity to, now that I'm stable, I need to really figure out how this fits into my life. So that's what the Transitional Living and Learning Center is for. Our main focus there is building vocational skills, plugging our clients into college if they're interested in going to school. They have to be doing something, at least even volunteering. And so we have built 2 relationships in the community, one with Orlando Health and Rehabilitation Center. Our clients get to go there every single week with our clinicians and volunteer there, whether it's feeding the patients there, whether it's reading the newspaper, playing with them, cleaning out things, going outside. But they get to do that every week and contribute back into the community. In addition to that, I have some clients who maybe struggle with social skills, and that might be overstimulating for them. So we also have a relationship with Pet Rescue by Judy. And every single week we get to go into her facility where they in-house and they get all these cats and dogs, and we get to clean out their cages. We get to wash their dishes to make sure every single day these cats and dogs have clean dishes to eat in. We get to walk with them, walk the dogs, take them out. And again, it teaches our clients responsibility, it teaches them commitment, and it helps them work through some of their own struggles with clinicians. And so that's one of the things that I'd love for you to keep in mind about Pasadena Villa, is that it's real life, real time with our clinicians. We're actually out in the community with them. So we just don't provide individual sessions, we are living life with them. And another thing to keep in mind about Pasadena Villa, and it's one of the things that's really, really close to my heart, is autism spectrum-related disorders. That's one of my specialties. There have been changes in the recent DSM, so for some of you who are familiar with our schedule, you used to see something called the Asperger's group. We've changed the name to correspond with the changes in the DSM, and so it's called social culture. And so I had my clients help me create the name. We're like, what do you want to call this? With all the changes, some of them had mixed feelings about this. And so I'm also a professor on the side, and so I have a huge educational background. And so when I talk about any diagnoses, I like to do it as cultural awareness, specifically for the autism spectrum-related disorders, because they are a minority in our very socialized world. We are called neurotypicals. And so social culture is a way to bridge the gap so that our autism spectrum clients can understand what it's like to integrate socially with individuals who don't have autism, but also for us who we don't know what that experience is like to live every single day with autism spectrum related disorders, to understand the culture and relate to them, and be able to be intentional with the work that we do together. So we are happy we're still conducting our social culture workshops, and we love our clients. So just to kind of recap, we have Pasadena Villa residential retreat co-occurring. We have a recovery-focused counselor who comes in 3 times throughout the week to provide support for our clients who do have a history of addiction. And we appreciate so much this opportunity to be here, because we do get clients sometimes who really need that support, who are relapsing, and that is their primary, and so that's not our primary care, and so we're able to connect to you guys and refer them out, and so we're so appreciative to make sure that our clients are always receiving the best care. But we have residential co-occurring in Tennessee and in Orlando, and we have our transitional living and learning facility in Orlando, Florida. Other things to note that we just think are really special, and we're proud, is that the University of Central Florida, we are a teaching site for their medical students, and so they'll actually come in and be able to do some of their practicum with us, and our psychiatrist works with them and supervises them. And also for Florida Hospital, their occupational therapists come in and are able to do the same thing. So I thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. And I have sweaty armpits because I'm anxious, so if you guys have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
The greatest thing what she said, you know, is if we're going to send them back, we need to send them back to you. And I always talk about this, but if you were in competition with anybody in this room, you ought to really go sell cars. There's 25 million of us with this disease in the United States. We treated 3.5 million last year. We all play in the same sandbox. And if you can't play in this sandbox, I'd highly recommend that you don't come back and get in another industry. Because this is where we really shine in the last few years. Because while I went to work in this business in '83, I can tell you that I worked for the care unit, and they're now gone. And the reason for it is we were so self-centered, and we thought we could fix everybody, and we didn't never send anybody to anybody else. My God, I mean, you'd be fired to send anybody. So we've got a long way to go, but my golly, just hand them up. I look at this disease as a pinball machine, and the ball is the patient and the family. God, don't forget that family, how sick they are. And the treatment centers are the flippers, whether it's halfway house, over to you for mental health, or codependency, or whatever. We've all got to play in this sandbox. Any questions, please?
Just quickly, that transitional TLC LLC is residential as well. I mean, that is a sober living in a sense, along with all that, or I'm just wondering, your price is just incredible.
It's a very different price. We are a life skills program, and so our transitional living and learning center, we purposefully have not wanted to be licensed because we've had individuals who don't necessarily need residential treatment, maybe who are working through sobriety, who have built stability, and they just need an opportunity that's structured and have clinicians available when needed to work in through either securing employment, going into school. So we don't call anything groups there to help reframe the thinking, because when you're in treatment for a long time, that tends to encompass your identity. So we'll have resume vocational workshops, we'll have relationship enhancement, we'll have executive functioning workshops, the things that are needed to work in through the community with clinicians. That's the biggest piece. So that's why there's such a significant price difference. You can live in one of our homes, but it's not 24 hours, so there's a lot more independence, there's a lot more opportunity for that. Great question.
Somebody over here, yeah.
Yeah, I've worked with both Sevierville and with Orlando, and it's phenomenal. And the price point, food, and everything. You also have private rooms, right?
Private rooms.
I mean, and you work with some very difficult clients, and the care that they get there, and the dignity and respect that's shown them is real, and the quality of care that they get, and the quality of the facilities. So the price point's really phenomenal.
Thank you, Rick. We appreciate you. We have really benefited from many of you here. And we do have some severe clients, and I would just take a second to share one particular client who I just have such a special spot in my heart. Has schizophrenia, a huge history of addiction. He was with us, we had to refer him out, he got stable, came back, he graduated with his bachelor's degree in UCF, starting his own business. He's in AA in the community. His thing now where he's really struggling with, because he didn't just have a history of addiction, but he also has schizophrenia, is, you know, Lisa, am I ever going to get a girlfriend? You know, how can I tell him about that I have schizophrenia? You know, and things like that. They're just really hard things that you have to work through. And so, but he's just super special. He's been with us for a long time, and no one would have ever imagined this for him. So if we don't have any hope for the type of work that we get to do and share life, we're in the wrong field. And so he's just been a blessing to me.
Just feeling that onion, and a lot of times treatment centers get down to a certain point. Oh my God, they'll call me on and say, call Pasadena Villa. I mean, that's what this is all about. You're only as good as your reference. Yes.
Lisa, would you be the contact for referrals?
Who you want to contact for referrals is Jennifer Stokes and Chris Eckert. I do have some business cards here. With Jennifer Stokes and Chris Eckert, we have a great admissions team. I'm getting more involved in this piece because hopefully in a few years I'll go get my PhD, and I've been teaching, so they want to get me out here to more exposure because I might be transitioning out of the clinical work, which will be a little bit odd, so that's why they have me here.
Marketing?
Probably a little bit more. I don't know. Unless I get fired after
What do you
this.
think? Do you think she could do that?
I think she might be.
We